Welcome to another WAB-ART Productions video about Bruckner, and this is the first of a 3-in-1 video. Firstly, you get the visual, and this time we're featuring Powerful Landscape, a watercolour with ink by Sophie Gervais, a living artist from Canada. The second part of this involves poetry. I'll come on to that in a little bit, and also the discussion about a particular piece of music of Anton Bruckner. With Bruckner, it has transpired in a dialogue I've been having with someone who's very well known in Bruckner circles. That's all I'm going to say. I haven't asked their permission whether I can quote them or anything, so that is all I'm going to say on the matter. But in communication, it transpires that much of the quirks, shall we say, concerning Bruckner, such as the counting neurosis, are something that's sort of the preserve of the English-speaking world, not the German-speaking world. So it gives a very different impression of Bruckner, and in some ways detracts away from the main focus, which is his music. In astrological terms, just to go off on a slight tangent here, we are in what is now called the Pluto Transit that destroys all that is untrue. So it is the intention of these videos to dispel some of these myths about Bruckner and put them into the context, because they help in the understanding of both Bruckner the man and Bruckner the artist. They would seem to be two diametrically opposed opposites, almost a conflict, a conundrum. But it does all make sense. In the successive videos, I shall be going more and more into this. So the first one I wish to dispel, we're going to take the bull right by the horns with this, is this thing about Bruckner being a simpleton and being naive. For a start, his compositions show that that is totally untrue. And secondly, it's cited that in many books that many things were lost on Bruckner, and I totally disagree with that. And it is Bruckner himself that will put that ridiculous rumour to bed once and for all. So I'm going to discuss one of the secular choral pieces. It's number 70 in the WAB catalogue. It's called Germanenzug. It's a cantata in D minor written between 1863 and 1864 for male quartet, male choir and brass band, consisting of 3 horns, 4 trumpets, 2 cornets, 3 trombones, a euphonium and tuba. It's a fascinating patriotic piece. It opens with this brass fanfare of da 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 da, and then it is repeated in the vocal line of the male chorus. So I'm just going to read the text to this, which was by August Silberstein. Bruckner teamed up, as it were, with Silberstein, set a few of his poems to music. More famously is his last choral work, Helgoland, which I will discuss in another video. So I'll just find my notes here. Where are we? Number 70. Here we go. So Germanenzug, the poem by August Silberstein. Germans stride the forest darkness. They are looking for struggle and holy battle. Oak trees form a bleak circle and rustle and anxiously and whisper quietly as if foreboding and grief were to grip the enormous army of warriors. They, however, stroll with firm steps, while thunder and all-igniting lightning approach, and from the dark branches louder noises are heard. A song resounds as the Valkyries wait around and guard the heroes and sing about battle. Odin's halls are full of light and free of earthly pain, and bliss gushes out of Freya's rays of delight. Solgofnir calls for golden day, and Bragi's harp sounds. The sweet time arises with sword clang and revelry. Odin's halls are full of light and free of earthly pain. He who courageously fights for the highest good will sit next to the gods. Oh, it is love that elates us to announce your fate. Battle awaits you, and everyone will fall. None will return. Here the warriors boisterously strike the swords against the shields so they resound. And if this be our last march, we willingly devote ourselves to death, but may the blessings of our home and victory bloom due to this courageous trek. Teutonia's sons with joyous courage gladly give their lives and blood, as liberty and fatherland will always exist, dwindling goods may elapse. Thus cried the warriors who marched towards battle, whose deeds may be blessed and whose words may be preserved. So that then is the lyrics to Germanenzug by Bruckner, a setting by the poem by August Silberstein. Now, what is interesting when we talk about, or when it is mentioned about Bruckner being naive and a simpleton, at the end of the first page of his manuscript, Bruckner added the following text: Freya, the goddess of love, in the full of light heaven, Solgofnir, the cock with the golden comb which calls the morning and wakes up the heroes, Braga, the god of poetry and arts, Balmungslag, sword clang, Odin, the chief god, Valkyrin, the winged maidens who lead heroes into battle and souls to heaven. So that's in Bruckner's own hand. I think that clearly shows that Bruckner did have an understanding. I will come on to more about this in future videos, because it is very much intertwined with being an artist and that sort of compelling feeling of having to create a piece of art. It's almost like something that you cannot avoid. If you have this gift in any particular field, and there is an art in everything, as an artist, a painter or a sculptor may readily relate to this, how when that feeling comes, it sort of overwhelms and you just have to create from that idea that comes into the mind. An interesting anecdote about Bruckner: apparently one time he was asked, "Why don't you write songs like Brahms?" To which Bruckner replied, "I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to." And I feel this is very revealing about Bruckner when you look at his catalogue of compositions. You'll find no concertos. You will find mostly choral works, what is called the sacred choral works, which are religious texts, and the secular, such as Germanenzug. Bruckner reveals a very different side in these secular works, which is in the range of number 55 up to number 94. So you've got 40 texts set to music, various poems and things. They're not commissions. They're not like many other composers where they're sort of creating something because they've been asked to and there's a financial gain at the end of it. Bruckner seemed to compose these 40 settings because they're things he wanted to do, or in the case of Germanenzug, it was to enter a competition, which was the first singing festival in Salzburg in 1864. So I hope that has dispelled one of the myths about Bruckner. Now you can hear Germanenzug in the playlist. It's under section 2, secular choral music. And I invite you to have a listen for yourself. You could say that in a way that, as well as being a patriotic piece, this is almost like Bruckner's miniature ring cycle. It mentions all the Norse gods, and I wonder, bearing in mind it's 1863 to 1864, whether it was something to do with this influence that Wagner had on Bruckner, where through Wagner's harmonies it had given Bruckner that missing piece of the puzzle. I would largely agree with the BBC presenter and music journalist Tom Service when he says that with Bruckner you get everything and nothing. His music harks back to the medieval age, to the sounds of Palestrina. It foreshadows modern film music. You get everything and nothing in one. It collapses time and space, and it is all in the moment. How wonderful. And from the perspective I'm discussing Bruckner, that fits perfectly when we look at Bruckner from a metaphysical perspective as Bruckner the mystic. But it is important to distinguish Bruckner the man and Bruckner the creative artist. I'll come on to that in a future video. So I hope you've enjoyed this sort of new series of basically a trinity. You have a visual, an audible, and a discussion about Bruckner's music all in one. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. More to come. Thank you for listening.